Hi, my Legion. How y'all doing today? Boy, it's getting real dark out. It might be raining, so I want to try to get this video done. I can. Yesterday, I went out with my friends and we did a whole bunch of neat stuff. And there's some videos coming up, and we went to see the movie, and we went to see Star Trek Beyond. I don't even need my sunglasses. And this is the third. Well, it's not the third, but the third of the remakes remade Star Trek with different casts and stuff like that, and I absolutely loved it. It's a fantastic movie. What it involves is they get this distress call, and it ends up being a trap. And I figured it was going to be a trap because I mean they could have said that. Captain Kirk could have said that. Well, I think that's a trap. Let's just do something else, and that'd be the end of the movie. I'm glad they didn't. And it's a trap. I'm not giving away any spoilers on that. And they get attacked by like this horde of like these bees. It's this army that and they tear things to shred, like anything like metallic stuff, organic stuff, people and stuff to shred like razor wires. It's really a neat idea and very cool. And it turned out there's this artifact, and this guy, the villain in Crawl, tries to get the artifact back that's on the ship. And you see the artifact at the very beginning. Where Captain Kirk gives us a peace offering to these aliens, and they're trying to bring the little teeny tiny guy. Very strange scene at the very beginning, and they end up going down, getting stranded on this planet. I don't want to give away a whole lot, but it's a fantastic film. Great sense of humor. It hit home in some ways because Kirk was talking about his dad passing away, and then Spock was talking about Admiral Spock passed away. It was kind of his dad. And then this one girl named Jayla, who was like a heroine in the film, talking about her father passed away. And of course, my dad passed away last year, so they hit a chord with me, you know. And it and that even made it that much better. It was a fantastic film. My only complaints are sometimes when the aliens talk like those weird little aliens at the beginning talked. Sometimes you couldn't hear the audio that well. Well, the audio was fine. You couldn't make out what they were saying that well. And same thing with Crawl. You couldn't make out what he was saying. Spelled Krall, not Krull, as versus the other Crawl from the 80s. That might have been a nod to that movie, maybe. I don't know. And there was another thing. Whenever they got left on these escape pods, Scotty was on by himself, and then you see the pod. It falls off this mountain, and he's trapped on top of the mountain, hanging on by his arms, like he's going to fall. And then they cut away to something else, and then about 10 minutes later, you see him just walking. I wish they would have showed how they resolved that part. That was a issue for me. But I loved one thing that they did. I loved the whole thing, but they did a thing where they made the subtitles whenever the alien was speaking alien dialect, and they showed subtitles. They made the subtitles super easy and clear to read, so it's not a distraction to other people. Because sometimes, I remember that I saw that I ended up seeing that crappy remake of Total Recall, and the things were so small in there you couldn't make anything out. Or when I saw the great movie Captain Phillips, I hated the Total Recall remake. But when I saw Captain Phillips, whenever the Smollett pirates were talking, the subtitles were so tiny you could barely read what it was saying unless you got real up close and personal. But they made the subtitles were real concise, easy to read, and very clear. That was a good point too. I love the movie. I give that probably a full-on 10 out of 10. It was because of the things about the audio and what they was got to get a 9.5 out of 10. But it's a fantastic film. If you get a chance, definitely see it. And because I'm doing this, I want to give my entire thoughts about the whole franchise, Star Trek franchise, so there might be a long video. But I wanted to do the review first. I saw it yesterday with my friends, and like I said, we got some cool food and drink reviews coming out sometime in the near future. Well, I know the food review is coming out this afternoon, probably after this video, like around 6 o'clock, I think. I'll probably have the schedule for upload at 3 maybe. Anyways, the whole thing of Star Trek, as far as TV shows are concerned, the only shows I really saw were the original Star Trek and also the cartoon. And then I saw a few episodes of Next Generation, Uh, I never saw Deep Space Nine. Never saw Voyager or Enterprise. I never saw those shows, but I saw all the movies. Well, anyways, going back to TV shows. Whenever the original Star Trek came out in 1968, I was born in '68, so I never saw it. And then, of course, Star Trek gained its popularity through syndication because when it first came out, it wasn't that well received by critics and stuff like that, and the ratings were only so-so, and I think it was canceled after 2 seasons, I think. 75 episodes, though, that was pretty good. And it gained its real popularity in syndication. But the first real experience, I heard of the show Star Trek, the first real experience I had with the show was through a Saturday morning cartoon that came out in 1973, and that was back when I was in a house in Albion. This is before I went to the house in Cranesville, going to the Edinburgh School. I went to Northwestern for 2 years for kindergarten, first grade. And I loved the cartoon. And then it came back, I saw it on Canadian TV had it. Later on, they used to have some of FYI, and then they have cartoons for a half hour. Then they have like an afternoon movie. And I remember for a while they showed like the old Star Trek cartoons, which was really cool. I remember in the Army, I was getting into an argument with Ray Brooks. He didn't believe me that they had an anime series. And he said, well, if they did, well, how come I never heard about it? I said, I don't know. And he said, I've never heard anyone ever talk about it. And me and him got in a big argument about the thing. We were friends. And it was like, I just dropped that. It just drove me nuts. And then in 93, 94, I remember I was at the family video place in Albion. And they actually had like one of the animated series, one or two, no, it was 2 on VHS. I bought it for like $2 or $3, and that was really good. I got to see it a little bit, and now I found out on Netflix a couple days ago that they had the animated series on Netflix at like 22 episodes. So I'm definitely watching that now. I wanted to thank my friend John Walkowitz for inviting me, him and Dan, his brother and son, and stuff like that, for inviting me to go see the new Star Trek movie, which I really enjoyed. I know I went back to that, and I had to mention that. And as far as like the movies were concerned, I didn't start seeing like the animated series till like regular Star Trek with William Shatner stuff till I was like in 2nd grade. And it always drove me nuts because when I was in Fort Bragg, they'd have like Star Trek at 7 o'clock. And it was Next Generation, and then Tuesday and Thursday to show the old ones. And my my one friend, roommates were saying, well, we'll watch that one. We're not watching that lousy one, that shitty one with Captain Kirk and stuff like that. Or they turn and they say, oh, Star Trek's on. And they say, oh, this is the shitty one with the old classic when they turn it. Always drove me nuts. But I did see some episodes of Next Generation while I was in Germany. And they had Next Generation. They had Star Trek was on like in the morning, and then Next Generation was on like 1 day a week or something like that, I think. And I did watch a few episodes then. And I do like Next Generation. I never really saw anything from them until the movies came out, when they were in it. And that, like I said, I never saw Deep Space Nine, even though I had a t-shirt for Deep Space Nine. I like the look of the ship. I never watched Voyager or Enterprise. So let's go back to it's going back and forth because it spans out such a long period of time. My whole life, Star Trek has been in since the year I was born, And let's go back to the movies. Whenever the first one, Star Trek the Motion Picture, came out, well, I remember watching Star Trek at my grandfather's too. He liked the show too, the original one. Whenever Star Trek the Motion Picture came out in 1979, it was a big deal. It was a huge, huge deal. I think directed by Robert Wise, if I'm not mistaken. And then, you see critics were saying it was kind of a turkey, which means it was a bad movie, they said. I didn't see it until it was on TV, and it was the only one in the series that was rated G. I wanted to see it. I said, let's go see it. It's rated G. I'd be allowed to see it. I wasn't allowed to see R-rated films and stuff like that. And, they didn't take me to see it. I eventually saw it on TV, and I really liked it. It's a very long film. It was over 2 hours, I think. Very serious, too. And I know Kevin Smith used to make fun of, the first 40 minutes, all it was like they were showing the ship and doing music like dun 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 dun, showing all these ships and stuff like that. But I really did enjoy the film. Very serious film. I don't think there was any humor and levity in the movie at all. But I mean, I really enjoyed that. I give that an 8 out of 10. because the rule in Hollywood was that the odd number Star Treks were bad, and the even one number ones were good, even though it ended up negating itself towards the end of the original Star Trek movies. But I'll talk about that when I get to it. But I give that an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy it. And I've seen that a couple times, and I remember seeing it on TV, and I remember renting it from the library in Fort Bragg and seeing it a couple times then too. Now the second one was The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And I saw the original episode Spacey too, which Spacey was fantastic. And this one was one of my favorite Star Treks because it was a three-way tie for my favorite Star Trek film. And this is definitely one of my favorite ones, and this is the only one I ever saw on Laserdisc. Because my dad got a Laserdisc from Mace Electronics, and these were different. These weren't the ones that looked like records. These were like a big cardboard sleeve, and you had to slant it and put it in a certain way or you would break it. And I remember we broke like two of these video disc players in like 2 weeks, and my dad said, hell with this. And he took it back, and we would rent video disc, laser disc from Mace Electronics too. And it was a good thing because we got because the guy said that they said they were junk. And it was a good thing that we got rid of it because like about a week or so after he got rid of it, they got rid of all their laser discs of that type there. And there would have been no other place where we could have rented laser discs, so we would have been screwed. We would have been stuck with that $108 machine. Because that's what my dad paid for it. You know, and he was real happy. And then we ended up paying another $40 and got a VCR, and the VCR lasted for a long time, and they always had. VCRs were great, and it didn't get phased out till 2000 something. Well, anyways, we saw that, and it was a fantastic movie. And it was probably would have been PG-13 because that scene where the creepy scene when they put those bugs in the guy's ears, freaked me out. But it's a fantastic film. That's a full-on 10 out of 10. And the Space Seed episode was good, too. Next was Search for Spock. I liked Search for Spock, and then I remember we saw it. I remember renting it, and my one roommate said it wasn't the best one. But I enjoyed the film. I'd probably give that 8.5 out of 10. I don't remember that one that well. Now, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, is the one that Leonard Nimoy directed. And it was the one where they went back to Earth and stuff, and then one with the whales and stuff. And that is one of my ties for one of my favorite Star Trek movies. And it was weird because it came out in 87. It was right on the cusp of why I went in the Army, so I didn't see it for a while. And I know saw bits and pieces of it in Germany. I don't know if I never rented it though. I don't think. And then I finally rented it in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, from the library. Made a copy, and I finally saw the whole thing, and I absolutely loved it. I saw bits and pieces in Germany. I don't think I saw the whole thing in Germany. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies. That's a full on 10 out of 10. Now, the next year came, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, directed by William Shatner, and that's what most people say is the worst of the Star Trek films. Actually, I thought there was two that were worse than that, but I had a chance to see that in the movie theater, and I didn't at a military movie theater because I had to work or something like that. And we ended up renting it, and I ended up watching a little bit on Epix. And I did like the movie. It's very cheesy looking. It's super cheesy looking and cheap looking. I think they're trying to be a little too very weak script. But I mean, it's still entertaining for what it was. I give that a very mild 6 out of 10. You know, there's two that I thought, because a lot of these Star Trek movies, I'm doing this from memory, or like some of the Star Trek movies I've only seen once. And I'm going on my initial gut reactions to the films, you know. Like I said, that's a very mild 6 out of 10, not one of the better ones. And I actually proved that they actually had a dig on Living Color when they did their thing, and they had Spock said, I'm actually a better film director than you two, than William Shatner. And that was a good thing. William Shatner played by Jim Carrey on Living Color. And then that was it until like 91, 92, and they had Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, and that was a very good one. I don't know if that was the first PG-13 rated. That was either PG or PG-13. I can't remember. I really enjoyed that one. That's a high grade one. I give that a 9.5 out of 10. That was a really good one, and it had like the first appearance by Worf from Next Generation. It had the first appearance of cast member from Next Generation. That one, so that was the start of them branching in Next Generation. And then came Star Trek VII Generation, or it just said Star Trek Generations. I was really disappointed with this one. It was good. I didn't think it was great, and you get to see interaction between Captain Kirk and Picard and stuff like that. I always thought this was a minimal film. I give this one a 5.5 out of 10. Cause I remember seeing it. I was really disappointed with it. I saw it on cable. Now, next came Star Trek First Contact, a much better one with the Next Generation cast and fantastic. And one of my ties from one of my favorite films. That was a 4 out of 10, a very action-packed, a great movie. I saw that on cable too, and I really enjoyed that. I liked the whole side plot with James Cameron and stuff like that. Not James Cameron, that one guy that was in Babe. I can't remember his name, and he was on a TV show. Damn, I can't. I thought it was I got confused with James Cameron, but that part with him bailing a spaceship and then going to space, that was really cool. I enjoyed. First Contact was a grade A film. That was PG-13 too. I can't remember if Undiscovered Country was PG or PG-13. I can't remember. But I saw Undiscovered Country, I think, 2 or 3 times. I saw First Contact once, but I definitely watched it a second time. I just never got a chance to see it a second time. And then after that, First Contact was Insurrection. And what happened was I went to the theater, and I saw something else, and my dad went to see Insurrection. The Insurrection was one of the Star Trek films that went back to a PG-13 rating. No, a PG rating. And I didn't see that till much later. I rented it on DVD, and I really liked it. And that was like, that was a different one. That was, because a lot of times they were talking about the odd number ones were bad and the even number ones were good. This is one that negated that. Insurrection was a very entertaining film. I give that 8.5 out of 10. Now, probably the worst in the series was next, Nemesis. I remember buying that on DVD, a used DVD. I remember watching it with my dad, and my dad said, this is kind of lame. I mean, it starts out strong with this big dune buggy chase. I think it was a dune buggy chase or something like that at the very beginning. But then after that, it goes into very boring subject matter and stuff. It was terrible. Very lame. I give that a very mild, very mild 4 out of 10. I think that's the worst of the series. And so that's what happened. Star Trek was pretty much dormant after that, except for the TV shows. And they had some anniversary specials, and then they had, I know they had a documentary. I can't remember when the documentary came out called Trekkies. I know a lot of the Star Trek fans were mad because it wasn't called Trekkers. You know, the documentary about Star Trek fans. I did enjoy that. I played in the theaters. I remember renting it eventually. My dad was like, man, said, why would you rent a movie like this for? So I was kind of curious to see it. And that was entertaining. I give that a very mild 7 out of 10. And then I guess they did a second one. And I only watched some. I never watched the whole thing. I wasn't really motivated to. On Tubi TV. And that was like a, I don't know, 6 out of 10. It was only okay. And then they had some really cool anniversary special Star Trek episodes I've seen. I know William Shatner pissed off a bunch of Star Trek fans. He did something on Saturday Night Live where he was at a convention. And the guys, you know, he saw all these fans. He was like, people, what's wrong with you? It's just a TV show. Go on, live with your lives and stuff like that. He pissed off a lot of Star Trek fans for doing that. That was a while back. I forgot about that. So, the Star Trek series was dormant because of a lousy Nemesis movie back in 2002, I think. Until 2009 when J.J. Abrams decided to bring it back as a remake. Now, in my heart, these ones, including the one I just directed, are not true Star Trek films. These are remakes and sequels of the remake, in my heart. Because it's not like, and they had like the different actors playing like Kirk and Spock and stuff like that. And I know he pissed off a lot of people because I was against watching the remake for a while because they advertised as, this ain't your daddy's Star Trek. I hated that. I know a lot of fans were pissed off about that. But I eventually saw it and I really enjoyed the film. It was very good. I give that 9 out of 10. I like the look of it. J.J. Abrams is very lucky to be doing the Star Trek. And then he went and he did the last Star Wars film, Force Awakens, which I haven't seen yet. But I got to see it sometime. But Star Trek, well, no, I give that a 9.5 out of 10 for the remake of Star Trek. I really did enjoy that. Now, Into Darkness came out, and I saw that on Netflix with me and my dad. That's the last Star Trek film I saw with my dad. And I know my dad was crying when you saw Leonard Nimoy and Spock come on there. That was a very entertaining film. I give that a 9 out of 10. I don't know why they were trying to remake Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan was fantastic. And the guy who played Khan was no match for Ricardo Montalban playing him in that. But that was a very good film. I did enjoy that too. I saw it on Netflix, which was cool. And that goes to the new one I saw, Star Trek Beyond, which is absolutely fantastic. I loved it. And that was actually the very first film I saw, Star Trek film I saw in the theater. I had a chance to see Star Trek 5, but I had to work in the theater. But I'm glad I saw this one there. So that's my review of Star Trek Beyond and my complete thoughts of the franchise, the Star Trek franchise. And I hope you all enjoyed this. And until next time, everybody, please take care of my Legion. And I want to thank everybody again for the 2,000. For hitting over 2,000 subs. And like I said, my friend John Walkwitz and I, we went there, and then we went to 3B Saloon. That video should be coming up soon. We went gambling. I lost $25. That's all. I tried to be very conservative there. I did not film inside the gambling Prescott Downs. It's like amateur Las Vegas, I guess. I did not film inside there because I was afraid that, they have security. The people probably think I'm trying to cheat or something like that, and they'll throw me out. I did not film inside there. We did some videos from Union Station. I got some alcohol reviews there. And then I got a view of downtown Erie after dark. I remember on our way home, John and I passed the action scene on the other side of the highway, and someone, it's just, I'm glad we weren't in that. We did. That's what we passed, though. I was kind of surprised. But there you have it. That's my review of Star Trek Beyond and my whole thoughts on the series. And I hope you liked this video. And I did like a little channel update too. So, until next time, like I said, take care of my Legion.